It's good morning, everyone. I am excited to see you again. And today I have with me Sybella Ng. Hello, Sybella.
Hi.
So, Sybella founded a company called THINKINT. And THINKINT, what it does is that it helps companies and people who are working in the companies to deal with like the stress that they feel. But she has also worked with children like yourself. She has also worked with parents and teachers, and she's trained in developmental psychology. So today she's going to come in and she's going to talk to you about how to deal with the stress that you feel because you have been staying at home for so many weeks, right? You cannot go out to school, you cannot see your friends. And so Sybella has a really good techniques that you can use. So I hope that that will be useful for you. Now, if you have any questions, anything you're not sure of, anything you're not clear, feel free to use the chat box here and ask the question as always. My name is Mei. I did not introduce myself, but if you have been to a previous session, you already know who I am, and I am from Weekend Academy. And Weekend Academy is now running this work in progress series for children like yourself on Saturday mornings. We are right now running the second part of the mental health series, but we actually have a previous series before this. One is the series on vaccine. If you have not seen that before, go check it out. We also have a series on climate change. That's also very exciting. So go check that out too. Now, this is the last part of the mental health series. After this series, we have the next series, which is to explore how people work during the pandemic. For example, marathons. Last time, you see the marathons on the road and people running. Now you cannot run marathons, right? So how do people who organize marathons do it during the pandemic? Now you can figure that out if you join us for the next session. We also look at how, in the courthouse, in the lawyers and the judges, they have to still work, right? Even though there's a pandemic, but how do they do it? So these are all the different things that you will learn if you join us on the next series. Okay, so I will put the link there that you can join for following week. But for this week, I'm excited to hear from Sybella. And again, I hope that you will take something away that will help you as you deal with maybe having to stay at home for a little bit longer. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to pull up Sybella's slide over here. And Sybella, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Mei, for the warm introduction. And good morning to all of you. Again, thank you, Mei, for the invitation to speak on a topic that is very close to my heart. Last week, you've heard from Counselor Shahril as he went on a journey with you to inform you about the world of mental health, as well as give you also a little bit of a sneak peek into psychology. So this week, I'm going to share with you my personal journey in the world of mental health, as well as introduce a tool for you to use whenever you experience stress and anxiety during this pandemic. In case you're wondering who I am, well, you already know my name. My name is Sybella, and I'm the founder of a company called THINKINT. So just like the word thinking, and how we need to start thinking about taking care of our mind, so just as we would with our physical health. Okay, so I graduated with a master's degree about close to a decade ago. So almost 10 years now, from a university in New York called Columbia. Then I went on to complete my training at a psychiatric hospital in Oklahoma, where I was assigned to the children's unit. And it actually really broke my heart when I was working in this psychiatric facility to see children basically from the ages of between 5 and 12 learning to cope with their mental health disorders, as many of them came from abusive homes. So after that, soon after, I returned to Malaysia after spending about 6 years in the States. When I first came back to Malaysia, psychology was still like a little baby, still very new in the field. So usually when you talk about psychology, right, you'll always you sometimes come across people relating it to like Tanjung Rambutan, or how only crazy people would see a psychologist. But you now know that isn't the full picture, right? Yep. But because you see, my passion lies with working with children and families, and there were very limited opportunities. So I then took up this job offer to work at Help University as a psychology lecturer. And even then, some of us lecturers would get invitations from corporate companies, schools, like such as this, NGOs, and even the media to talk about mental health. It was then when I realized that our Malaysian community, there are a lot of people who are curious, perhaps like yourself, and would like to learn more about how to take care of your mental well-being. But sadly, they don't know where to seek help or support from, right? So that's why I left my job as a lecturer and started this company with the aim to raise more awareness on how you can care for your mental well-being, as well as point you in the right direction of where you can get help. Okay, so apart from that, I am also certified to do family therapy. I have also written a book, a children's book on personality traits, as well as another book on human development waiting to be published under Sunway Press. So now, of course, it sounds like I'm always busy, which I am. And even though this pandemic has made us all feel very stressed and gloomy, do you know what is one of the few things that make me happy? You can take a guess. What's one of the very few things that make me happy? You can also go ahead and just type it out in the box, in the chat box. Any guesses? One thing that makes me happy. It's okay, no right or wrong. Okay? You can go ahead and just... Okay, moment of truth. If you're too shy to take a guess, the answer is being a mommy. My son was born just right before we were about to enter the first lockdown last year. Okay, and so we're very excited to have him, although he can be a handful sometimes, climbing up the sofa, running around, trying to play ball. And we also have a pet dog by the name of Dexter, who's a very, very loving, big dog brother to Zach. Okay, so enough about me. As you can see, there are actually many different types of mental health professionals, as Councillor Sharil has also shared with you. For me, I specialize in working with families and children, and even then, it does require a minimum of a master's degree. Yeah, so after my secondary schooling, I went on to get my bachelor's degree, followed by my master's. But who knows, maybe I may still continue to pursue my PhD later on. So again, just a refresher, just based off of what Councillor Sharil has shared with you. There are many different types of mental health professionals. But I can also assure you that you've seen Councillor Sharil firsthand, and you've seen how friendly he is, right? And it's the same for clinical psychologists and psychiatrists and even psychologists. Yeah. When you get referred, or when you see someone like us, so any one of us mental health professionals, you'll find that actually one of our goals is to really just journey with you as you discover more about yourself and equip you with tools to cope with challenges in life. Okay. Quick question. How many of you would go see a doctor when you are feeling sick, when you have a fever, or you have a stomach ache? Yeah. Anyone? Okay. Or what about if your tooth aches? Your tooth really aches, and you can't sleep at night, you can't eat. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for responding. And you go see a dentist, right? So just as yes, thanks. Yes, you do see a doctor or a dentist for your physical health, right? So because we want to feel physically healthy, and we want to listen to the doctor or the dentist's advice and recommendations, right? That's why we go and see them, so that we feel better physically about ourselves. But there is actually no health without mental health, because our mind and our emotions are part of us. We can't just remove them, right? And it really just comes as a package when we were born. So just as we would go see a doctor or a dentist, when we feel physically ill or when our tooth hurts, we do need to see a counselor or a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist, or even a trained psychologist, when we feel all kinds of intense and unpleasant emotions all the time for a long time. Okay, so with our remaining time, I am going to introduce you to a tool, okay, that you can keep with you for whenever you feel stressed or anxious. This toolkit is called A.R.T. So it's very simple to remember. It's just called A.R.T. It's the art of how you can manage your stress and anxiety. Okay, so what does A.R.T stand for? It stands for awareness. A, you've got the A there. Okay, and then we're going to look into regulate, okay, which stands for where the R comes in. And then lastly, we're going to discuss what you can do. So talk, and that's what T stands for. Okay, and so we're going to start off by looking into the first part, which is A. Okay, now with A, it stands for awareness. So I would like for you to join me and just give your head a gentle tap, not too hard lah, yeah, okay, because we want to be gentle to our brain cells too. Okay, so gently tap your head and say awareness. Okay, so that's awareness. With awareness, we need to be aware, thanks Captain Obvious, of the different emotions that we feel. Okay, as you can see here on the slides, there are 7 very basic emotions that every single human on this planet experiences. Okay, so you've got happy. Okay, you can think of something that makes you happy. Okay, surprise, what makes you feel surprised. Okay, then there's also contempt. Now, what is contempt? Contempt basically means that if another person is being mean to you or to someone else, you would often view them with contempt or disdain. You're like, oh, that person is so mean. Okay, that's contempt. That's that feeling of contempt. Okay, there's also sadness, sad that we can't perhaps see our family, our friends, because we are in this lockdown. Fear of the unknown, of uncertainties, not sure when this lockdown or this pandemic will be over. Disgust. Okay, say for example your younger sibling picks his nose and puts the booger in his mouth, like, ew, that's disgusting, right? Or anger, even, perhaps if your younger sibling tries to play with or tries to mess up your homework whenever you're trying to get your homework done. Okay, so these are the 7 emotions that we often experience. Okay, now as I mentioned earlier, emotions are built within us, right? So we cannot remove them. We are created with emotions. Okay, so even though we are not feeling happy, we're feeling sad, we're feeling contempt, disgust, anger, okay, then these all come as a package. Okay, so often we say that we need to be happy all the time. That isn't always true. We don't actually have to be happy 24/7, 7 days a week. So because you find that even with sadness, even with anger, it can tell us a lot about ourselves. Not saying that we should, always be angry, we should keep being sad, but you see, emotions are actually data. Okay, emotions help us understand that, well, it gives us information. It tells us when to flee from danger. Okay, such as fear. When perhaps if you are fearful of a snake, like I am. I am fearful of snakes. So if I see a snake, I will run. Okay. Of course, that's not the best advice because, I'm sure like in terms of like other practical tools, perhaps shouldn't run. But yeah, if you experience fear, it tells you that, well, danger lies ahead of you. So run. Okay. Um, or sometimes, we feel angry when, excuse me, we feel angry when someone's being mean to us, right? Or we feel sad. And sometimes that requires us to stand up for ourselves. Or sometimes when we feel happy and we see others feeling sad, it gives us information that perhaps we need to give that someone a hug, right? So our emotions, our feelings play a very important part in our survival as a species, as humans. And when felt fully, these emotions can really just help us live a more connected and full life. Okay, which is why I said that emotions are data. But even though they may give you information about how you feel about things, how you feel about certain people, how you feel about certain events, it does not determine our actions because often we react rather than respond because we allow our emotions to determine our actions. But actually, we can be in control. Our brain is actually the control center. So we can decide on how we want to act on the information that we have received through our feelings. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a story about a car and a mechanic. And then after that, I'm going to share with you how you can make better decisions through the information that you receive from your emotions. Okay, so we're going to look at this story of a family, of Leia's family. And this is after the pandemic. The pandemic is over. Okay, so Leia and her family are going on a trip from Johor to Penang to visit Leia's grandparents. As they were passing through Malacca on the highway, the car started to shake. Okay, and hot air was blowing out of the AC. So no longer that cold AC, it's just hot air. Maybe some of you have experienced that before. Yeah. And then Leia's father exclaims, "Oh dear, the brake isn't working well." Okay. Leia's family then decide to stop by a car workshop as they exited the highway. But upon a very quick check, okay, uh, this mechanic, oops, upon a very quick check, okay, this mechanic said that, "Oh, you must be imagining things because nothing is wrong with your car at all. Okay, I've checked. Nothing is wrong with your car." So the whole family then gets back on the highway. But then a few minutes later, the same things happen again. AC is blowing out hot air, car brakes are not working well, and the car would sometimes shake. Okay. Um, and so because the mechanic said it's all in your head, Leia and family decided, oh, okay, they must be being silly, and just probably feeling very excited to visit Penang, after all these months being in lockdown. So they continue on the journey. How dangerous, right? But after passing through KL, okay, the car shakes even harder. And Leia's dad decides to pull up to the side. And this time the car won't start back up again. And so Leia's dad had to call in for a tow truck. Okay. And the tow truck brought the car to a second mechanic. And at this second mechanic did a more thorough check, very detailed check. And the mechanic then reported that there are a few things that require repairing, otherwise it won't be able to function and fulfill its purpose in transporting Leia and family to Penang, and then after that back to Johor. So the family assured Leia's family that the car would just need a few days to rest and get some repair. Okay, so Leia felt relieved that it wasn't just her imagining things. So true enough, they were able to get back on the road a few days later when the car was fixed. And the reason why I wanted to share this story is because stress and anxiety work in very similar way. When you are in the thick of anxiety or stress, you'll be aware that something doesn't feel right. Okay, but might not have the exact words to explain what's happening. You might feel angry, you might feel sad, you might feel frustrated, contempt even, okay? But sometimes you just don't know how to pinpoint exactly, okay? Why you're not feeling good, okay? Why isn't there that pleasant feeling, okay? All that you need to feel, all that you know is that you feel as though something bad might happen. And this might come to you in many ways, including all the what ifs. Okay, what if something bad happens to my family? What if something bad happens to me? What if I'm unable to pass, you know, um, my exam? Okay, what if we're not able to meet our friends ever again? What if I'm not able to go back to school? So a lot of what ifs. Sometimes we might also avoid, avoid those feelings. Sometimes we try to push them away and say, I just need to get over it. I just need to, push them away and just only think happy thoughts, happy thoughts. Um, Sometimes it might come in the form of anger. You might feel angry, but sometimes you don't know what is it that you're feeling angry about. Sometimes it may come in the form of tears. You might cry for no reason. Sometimes it also comes in the form of a sick tummy. You feel a lot of butterflies in your stomach. Sometimes you keep getting a lot of stomach ache, headaches. Okay. Um, you know, a lot of different feelings. So everything inside you is telling you that something isn't right. So being told that there's nothing to worry about sometimes doesn't help. Okay, for instance, if we say don't think about it, okay, but when we say don't think about it, like for example, if I say kids, don't think about a white elephant right now. Don't think about the white elephant. What are you thinking of right now? A white elephant, right? So when you're being told that there's nothing to worry about, it just won't help. And it runs the risk of making things worse. And there's a good reason for this, okay? Because you find that actually stress isn't always a bad thing, okay? Stress can actually be handy for that extra burst of energy and focus, okay? So before we get into that, I just want you to be aware of some of these signs. Again, awareness, okay? So awareness of signs of stress and anxiety, and it can come in the form of a behavior, like you have trouble sleeping, you don't feel like eating, or it can be all physical, like you feel a lot of aches, headaches, stomach ache. It can also come in the form of your thoughts, the way you think, you have trouble remembering things, you cannot focus, and it can also come in the form of your mood. You feel more irritable, you feel very sad a lot of times for a long time, you feel angry. So stress can come in these different forms, okay? But like I said, stress isn't always a bad thing, okay? Now, there's also in good stress, okay? So in small amounts, stress can be good for you. For instance, let me just fast forward here a little bit first. For instance, when you have homework to do, right? So when you're feeling that stress, oh, I have homework. What happens in a little bit I explained to you is that our body, when it senses stress, it gives us that adrenaline, okay, or that motivation to complete things that we need to do. So like I said, in small amounts, stress can actually be good for you because it can actually motivate you to get things done, like your homework, or to attend your online classes, or to even help around with house chores, because perhaps your parents are always reminding you, your educators, your teachers, your caregivers, right? Your caregivers are perhaps also always reminding you to say, hey, we're on a roster here, okay, please remember to do your house chores. So that stress actually would motivate us to get us up from our bums, okay, get us up from the couch so that we can get things done. Or back like those days when we can still play competitive sports. small amounts of stress is actually good because it can help us to keep fighting, to win. Okay, which is why, again, it's okay if you feel a little bit of stress, and really stress, we experience stress on a daily basis. Okay, and really, because we experience stress and anxiety on a daily basis, it doesn't mean that we are weak. Okay, it's far from that. It's actually a sign that a strong and healthy, magnificent brain is actually doing exactly what brains are meant to do: protect us from threat. Okay, and it won't matter that there's no threat. So threats can come in the form of, say, for example, if you look in the yellow box, sources of stress, COVID-19, that is a big threat, right? um, Sometimes also school can be a threat, especially if you used to experience bullying, and perhaps maybe you are going through some form of bullying, cyberbullying, and that makes it an unpleasant experience for you. Not being able to see your friends or family, illness, fights in the family, health, financial difficulties, these can all be considered as threats. Okay, but sometimes also, okay, there are no clear threats. You just feel anxious and stressed for no reason, because sometimes anxiety just doesn't care about these sources or threats at all. Anxiety actually comes from a part of the brain called the amygdala. Okay, I'll come back to this slide in a little bit, but I just want to talk to you about this first. So, um, anxiety comes from a brain called amygdala. Okay, and it's very instinctive. Okay, so the amygdala is actually in the center part of your brain. Okay, you'll be able to see, but it's in the center. And I'm pretty sure that in science, eventually, or in biology, you'd also come to learn about it. Okay, but if you've not heard of it, there you go, another new word for you to learn. Okay, so this amygdala is actually very instinctive. It's very protective, and it's very hardworking. It's very good at doing what it does, which is keeping us safe. So when the amygdala switches on, okay, it'll switch on when it thinks that there might be trouble. Okay, for example, like I mentioned, fear of separation from loved ones, us getting sick from COVID, something bad happening to someone we love, exclusion, rejection, embarrassment. It all counts as threats and troubles. So when the amygdala is switched on and when it senses this, it is laser focused on keeping us safe. So having said that, when your brain senses this threat, okay, then it will signal the kidneys or the adrenal glands that's in our kidneys, okay, to release a hormone, a stress hormone called cortisol, okay, as well as adrenaline, okay. And this, when it is released into your body, it primes your body for instant action, okay, often in the form of fight, flight, or freeze, okay. So, for example, like I said, in small amounts, it prompts us to fight, okay, to get homework done, to get chores done, and sometimes also it prompts us to flight. For example, like I said, if I see a snake or if you see a dog, right, then it prompts us to protect ourselves by perhaps running away, or finding safety. But sometimes, okay, you can also freeze, because sometimes stress can also cause us to not be unsure of what to do. Sometimes also, perhaps in the case of bullying, even though you might have practiced with your parents, with your caregivers, you've done role plays on how to manage bullies, but sometimes when you come across that bully, you just freeze. You don't know what to say. Okay, and that's normal because sometimes that happens, but it's okay when that happens. Sometimes when we freeze, but later on, when we feel more ready, when we feel more like ourselves, we can actually try to then decide on what next, what else can I do. Okay, think of another solution, think of more creative solutions to our problem. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, okay, this there's your amygdala, okay, there's your cortisol and adrenaline, that reacts whenever our brain senses threats or stress. Okay, But you see, when stress is continuous, the kind that we face day in, day out, okay, when you don't find time to relax, when you don't find time to regulate, to relax, or to rest your mind, then what happens is that chronic stress or severe stress can actually cause a lot more problems. Okay, it can actually change your brain and it can cause a lot of other damages. Okay, just like the car story that we talked about earlier, remember? So imagine that if a car, okay, let's say your car runs out of petrol, right? What happens when a car runs out of petrol? What do you think happens? It stops, right? It cannot go on any further. Okay, so just like, or for instance, Leia's car, okay, if it doesn't get repaired, and if Leia's family kept driving the car, what do you think would happen? The car would break down. So just like that car, if we don't have enough petrol, if we don't send the car for repair or for maintenance, you'll find that it will break down. And just like that car, our bodies too, if we don't take care of it, if we don't fill ourselves, not with petrol, but if we don't take care of our body, our mind, if we don't actually find time to rest and regulate our emotions, then we will also be heading for a breakdown. Okay, so continuous stress, okay, can lead to physical illnesses such as an increased heart rate. You keep feeling your heart bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, very fast all the time. Okay, then of course it can lead to increased blood pressure and increased blood sugar. You might think that, oh, this is only adult problems. You are, somewhat right in that, but it can also happen as you grow older. Okay, because as we all will keep growing older, so this can actually come back to haunt you later on in life. So it's very important that we also make sure that we are able to manage our stress. And to a degree also, if we don't manage our stress well, it can also lead to depression and anxiety. So depression is more than just feeling sad. It's okay because sometimes we do feel sad once in a while, especially now because we are in a lockdown. We can't see our family, our grandparents, we can't see our friends in school, we can't see our teachers. So it's okay to feel sad, once in a while. If you feel sad, sometimes it's okay to cry. It doesn't make you weak. It's okay to cry. But if you feel sad for a very long time and nothing makes you feel happy, okay, or if you feel anxious, you always cannot sleep. You keep thinking about all the what ifs. You keep imagining that something bad would happen to you or to your family. And if this keeps going on for a very long time, 2 weeks has passed, 3 weeks has passed, then of course, it's very important to then see a professional, mental health professional, just to check whether there's anxiety or depression. Okay. So now we have talked about awareness, right? Very important to be aware of what you are feeling, okay? Whether it's your emotions, like the 7 emotions that we talked about, or whether it's the different experiences, the different signs from your body, whether it's a stomach ache, headache, okay, it's very important for us to be aware of those signs so that we can regulate, which is the next part, okay? So now we're going to talk about regulate. I'm going to share with you some strategies of how you can manage your stress and anxiety better. So regulate, we're going to do this, okay? Regulate, because it would entail, okay, using our mind as well as our emotions, okay? So the first thing we want to look at is how we can regulate our feelings. Okay, if you've seen Inside Out, okay, this could, or okay, even if you've not seen Inside Out, then perhaps you could request to watch this movie this weekend. Okay, so if you've watched it, then perhaps you'd be familiar with the characters and what emotions they represent. If not, don't worry, as I will briefly walk you through that. Okay. So again, very important to listen to our bodies, because remember, emotions are data. Feeling painful emotions, okay, of course, not surprisingly, can be painful. This is why a lot of us don't want to do it. Instead, we like to ignore our emotions, especially if we're feeling like, in the blue zone, we're feeling sad, we're feeling bored, or perhaps in the yellow zone, we're feeling frustrated, okay, we're feeling very worried, or in the red zone, feeling very angry. Okay, so a lot of these unpleasant emotions, we tend to want to ignore them or dismiss them and say, please go away. Okay, because we only want to feel happy all the time, right? So we try to numb ourselves. And sometimes we try to numb ourselves by harming ourselves, okay, or withdrawing from other people. We just don't want to talk to other people. Or we lash out and want to hurt other people. Basically, we will turn to anything that will help us get rid of those unpleasant feelings. But while we think that we are minimizing the pain with dismissing the or ignoring or trying to numb those unpleasant feelings, we're really actually amplifying it, which means we're actually making it bigger, okay, making it more intense for us. For instance, in the short term, okay, perhaps you might have heard of self-harming behaviors. Some people cut themselves or some people hurt themselves because they feel they just don't want to feel that physical pain or that the emotional pain. Sorry, they don't want to feel the emotional pain. That's why they hurt themselves. But in the long run, it actually would make you feel a lot worse. So in other words, if you fight the pain, judge it, try to push it away, avoid it, ignore it. Okay, yeah, if you try to forget about it, then sometimes it will trigger other more painful emotions, resulting in more emotional pain. Okay, and that could also mean that perhaps we need to just learn more healthy ways to cope with those unpleasant emotions. Okay, so just to look at these emotions, for example, if you're feeling blue, you're feeling in the blue zone. So 4 zones to look at. If you're feeling in the blue zone, okay, so you're feeling a little sick, or you're feeling sad that you cannot see your friends, right? Feeling tired, feeling bored, okay, and you just don't feel like doing anything, perhaps. That's okay. That's your body telling you that you might just need some time to rest. Okay, so you just need some time to rest. Um, or perhaps, your body is telling you you're in the yellow zone and you're feeling frustrated, okay, feeling very worried. You're feeling just very anxious, silly, excited. So sometimes when you're feeling that, our body is just telling us, hey, we need to slow down. Okay, we need to just take it down a notch. Okay, we need to just rest a little bit. And a little bit, I'll also share with you how you can rest. Okay, or sometimes we are in the red zone. Okay, and we feel very angry, we feel mad, okay, we feel like hurting other people, we feel very out of control, okay, we want to hurt other people or ourselves. That's when we actually need to stop. It's easier said than done, okay, I admit, even as adults, okay, it's a lot easier said than done when we experience all these intense emotions to say stop, or to slow down, or to rest, okay. But you'll find that actually sitting with your emotions, okay, simply means that you're allowing yourself to experience them. So you have to resist the urge to get rid of the pain, okay, and resist the urge to judge yourselves for having these emotions, because like I said, these emotions come as a package when you were born. It doesn't make you weak, right? It doesn't make you any weaker. You just need to actually name that feeling, accept that you're experiencing it because you are human. Okay? Sit with those feelings. Don't judge yourselves. Just like that car. If like the first mechanic, if the mechanic say that there's nothing wrong with the car, it's all in your head. Okay, you're imagining things. So imagine that car. If we just go by the advice of that first mechanic, right? telling us that we're imagining things. What do you think would happen? We don't get any factual advice, right? And it says we're just imagining things. So then you find that the car would eventually break down because it's not getting the repair that it needs, just like us. Okay, if we keep telling ourselves that we're just imagining things, it's all in our head, just get rid of those feelings and we'll be okay, then over time you'll find that you break down like that car. But if we take time to identify what that car is feeling, okay, what are the repairs that are needed, then the car will be able to function optimally again. Okay, say for example, last year your parents might have told you that in 2021, life will resume to normal again, and you made plans to stay over at your friend's place, maybe go on a little field trip with your school, or go on a holiday. But here we are in 2021 and we're still in a lockdown. Tears, right? All your plans are cancelled. How do you feel? Instead of saying things like, well, get over it, okay, or let's try to get rid of this sadness, okay, let's try to push this frustration away. Okay, what we can actually do instead is to let those sadness, the disgust, the contempt, okay, the frustration, the anger, let it come and go. Imagine waves. You've seen waves, right? At the ocean, at the beach. So imagine your feelings like waves. Okay, and just like waves, if you fight against it, if you try to push against waves, it will only take you farther out to the ocean, putting you more at risk. Okay, putting you more at risk of drowning. But if you would just go along with the waves, okay, when you feel sad or when you feel angry, okay, it's an angry wave, it's a sad wave. Acknowledge it. I am feeling sad. I am feeling angry. Or, I feel so angry. Okay, so let it wash over you. Let that wave pass. Then you can decide what are some ways that you can do to make you feel better. Go scream into your pillow, perhaps. Okay, or bounce your basketball. Go paint. Go draw. Redirect that energy into something that won't hurt you or others. Okay, and then when you feel like you are in that green zone, okay, you feel better, you feel more pleasant emotions like you're happy, calm, good to go, focused, ready to learn. That's when you go. Okay, now of course when we start feeling better, then we need to also start thinking about regulating our mind. And because I said that there is no health without mental health, that doesn't mean that you should neglect your physical health. Okay, so the final strategy for you to consider is, second to last strategy, okay, is to think about these three things. Okay, very importantly is for us to eat well and sleep well. Okay, because junk in, junk out. If you eat a lot of junk food, sometimes stress also can make us eat a lot of junk food. Okay, but you find that junk in, junk out, because whenever you eat a lot of junk food, sometimes it will actually cause you to feel really unpleasant, very uncomfortable, very bloaty. You don't feel like eating other types of food. But it's very important that if we want to keep our bodies healthy, remember I talked about the brain, the amygdala, and how it protects us. We talked also about the cortisols, the hormones. So if we want to try to keep them under control, okay, then we need to be in control of our body. So then you need to be in control by deciding for yourself what is healthy for your body. So try to eat healthy meals and also get enough sleep. So I know a lot of us will always be on our phones. Okay, if you have phones or you want to talk to your friends, because you're so bored at home, try to do that during the day, or whenever you don't have any more online classes in the evening. But when it comes to bedtime, make sure you clock in enough sleep so that your brain can actually start repairing itself. Very important for our brain to repair itself so that it can help you to grow and to be better at managing your stress and your anxiety. And you can also be able to focus better at school. Okay. Next, okay, you want to also, even if you eat junk food every day, it's okay. Now you know. So now try to make it a habit to cut down on that junk food and decide. Remember, you are responsible for your own body. So make sure you try to decide on what is healthy for your body. So try to find time to also cut down on your junk food and focus on thinking what can be healthy for your body. Okay, next, relax. Okay, a lot of times people say, oh, relax, but you probably be thinking, how do I do that? Okay, relaxing for me, I mean, relaxing can mean different things for different people, but there's one thing that I want to share with you, especially when you're in that red zone. Remember that red zone? Feeling angry, okay, and you want to hurt someone or you want to hurt yourself. You want to say mean things to other people, okay, to your family, to your friends. Very important is for us to take a break, to relax, to stop. Okay, how you can do that, or when you feel stressed, or when you feel frustrated, disgust, even contempt, sad. Okay, I'd like for you to join me in this little breathing exercise. So I'm going to teach you how to breathe correctly. I know you're probably thinking, huh? But I've learned to breathe since I was born. Yes and no. Okay. So learning the right breathing technique can then actually help you to really calm your mind. So to help your amygdala to switch off a little bit. Okay. And to tell your brain to say, hey, let's stop producing those cortisols for just a minute so that I can take a break. Okay. So I'd like you to join me in this. I want you to put your hand on your belly. Okay. And when you breathe in, so you're going to breathe in through your nose. So when you close your mouth, breathe in through your nose, you should feel your belly expand like a balloon. Okay? It should not go in, okay, your belly, but you should expand instead, okay? So again, hand on your belly, make sure it expands when you breathe in, yeah? Through your nose. So we're going to then count for 4 counts as you breathe in through your nose. Okay, ready? Hold your breath for 4 counts. Feel your belly expand in 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to release by exhaling through your mouth. Ha! We're going to try that again. Okay, so breathe in through your nose, and then as you feel your belly expanding, I want you to hold for 4 counts, okay? After that 4 counts, I want you to exhale through your mouth, and you can let out a big ah, okay? So think about all that stress and you release it, ah, okay? Ready? Breathe in through your nose, feel your belly expand, and hold for 4 counts. In 4, hold, 3, hold, 2, hold, 1. Exhale through your mouth. Okay? We're going to try it one last time. Ready? Breathe in through your nose. Feel your belly expand. Hold for 4 counts. In 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Okay? So that's one way that I would like for you to try and keep, whenever you feel stressed, whenever you feel all those intense emotions that we talked about, whether you're in the blue zone, the yellow zone, or the red zone. Okay. Sometimes you can also do it when you're in the green zone, because sometimes we can be so excited, we need to catch our breath. Then, we can use this method to just calm down, to help us calm down. Okay. Last but not least, exercise. Okay. So this is the time, okay, where it's very important for you to also put away your electronic gadgets, because we have to attend online school. A lot of information comes online now because we can't meet physically, right? But having said that, it doesn't mean that you should be on your gadget, online all the time. So it's very important to get some movement in your body as well. Okay, so I would like for you to also think about when, sometime during the day, or like right now, we've been here for about 50 minutes now, 10 minutes to go. So we've been sitting here, and I really appreciate that all of you are so attentive. So doing good so far. Give yourself a pat on the back. But I'd like for you to stretch. Okay? Stretch. Just do some stretches, mini stretches. You can also do some star jumps if you would like. Okay? But very important is to, again, you are responsible for your body. Okay? So try to also think, when would be a good time for me to do some star jumps? And sometimes when you are sad, it's okay. Okay, what you can do is, once you let that wave of sadness, you say, okay, I am feeling sad, or I am feeling angry. Okay, once you have let that pass through, then you can also say, what can I do now to feel better? Then think about some physical movements that you can get. You can start dancing, okay, in your rooms. It's okay if someone says, so crazy. Why is she dancing in the middle of the day? Why is, it's okay. Everyone has their own opinions, okay? We can let other people say whatever they want to say, okay? So do what's best for you. Make sure you get some movement in, okay? Now, one final strategy that I'd like to share with you to help you regulate, remember, regulate your mind, is to think about this glass jar or this glass cup. Okay, so if you think yourself as a cup, okay, if that cup is empty, what would an empty cup pour out? Kids, think about it. What would an empty cup pour out? Nothing. An empty cup won't be able to pour anything out. So if you are feeling empty like that cup, you won't be able to function optimally. You won't be able to pour anything out. Okay? Whether it is helping your friends feel better, helping your friends with homework, okay, or helping your caregivers, your parents with house chores, doing homework, focusing on homework. You find that if your cup is empty, it's going to be very difficult to do all these things. So again, just like that car, you need to find time to rest, okay, by doing all those things that we talked about earlier, right? So another thing that you can do to fill your cup up is by reflecting on these 4 areas. So on the left cup, okay, these are examples that you can also follow. So I'd like for you to think after this session, reflect on one thing that you can be grateful for. I mean, you might have many things to be grateful for. That's great. But if you don't, think about one thing that you can be grateful for. Okay, whether it's food, perhaps your pets, your siblings, your friends, your teachers, like Teacher Mei. What's one thing that you're grateful for? Okay, second thing to reflect is goal. So what would your goal be for the next week, perhaps? Okay, want to be able to focus better. Okay, I want to be able to manage my intense or unpleasant emotions better. Okay, what would be that goal for the following week? Then I would like you to start planning, okay, how to achieve that goal. Okay, so in terms of achieving your goal, you have to make sure that it's very specific. Okay, if you say, for instance, I want to be able to focus better, but focus on what exactly? So you have to be very specific. I want to be able to focus on perhaps my science homework or my math homework. Okay, I want to be able to do better. And doing better doesn't mean that you need to get A's all the time. Okay, sometimes doing better means that you go from a fail grade to a passing grade, and that's also an achievement in itself. Okay, so think of something specific, something that's measurable. So like what I said, something you can measure. If your goal is to do better at math, how can you measure that? So if you were failing math, again, it's okay as long as you're able to improve on it. So getting from a fail grade to a passing grade. Okay, that's something that's measurable, to know that you have actually achieved your goal in being able to improve, being able to focus better. Okay, then of course, you want to be able to give yourself a timeline as well. Okay, so otherwise you can say improve on my math. But if you don't give yourself a timeline, you can say I'll only improve when I'm in Form 5, right? So give yourself a good timeline. Perhaps, next year I want to be able to get myself from a C to a B or a D to a C. Okay, so a good timeline so that you're able to achieve your goal better. Okay, and then last but not least, affirmation. Okay, so affirmation actually just basically means that these are words of encouragement. Okay, so yes, we are going through perhaps a lot of negativity, a lot of negative things in the world, but some affirmations can be things like I am safe in my home. I am safe, with my family. I'm safe, with my caregivers. Okay, or you can also think about affirmations like I get better every single day. I make mistakes, but I can get better every single day. Another example would be all my problems have solutions. Okay? Or I am enough. So think about some of these affirmations that would be encouraging to yourself. Okay. Again, we want to be able to fill our cup, and we want to make sure that, like the car, we are actually taking care of ourselves. We're identifying what needs to be repaired. We're taking that time to repair and to rest. Okay. And so we've come to close to the end of this art toolkit. The last T, okay, the last alphabet T, okay, that we want to focus on is to talk to someone. Okay, so you can do talk. You can gently pat your mouth and say talk to someone. Okay, so who do you talk to? Here are some people that you can talk to. Oops, this one does not have apologies. There's supposed to be a Buddy Bear hotline here as well, but I believe that Counselor Shariel has shared that with you. But you can also always look to one Buddy Bear that Counselor Shariel has shared with you. You can also consider calling the Befrienders hotline. If you don't think that there are any trusted adults around you. Okay, but of course, if you do have any trusted adults, like your teachers at school, at your center, like Teacher May, any teachers, any counselors, like Counselor Shariel, any mentors, okay, parents or caregiver. Very important it is to talk to someone, okay? Talk to someone, because sometimes you'll find that if you keep all your emotions inside, okay, it's almost like a pressure. If with your bottle of Coke, okay, someone said that you enjoy eating junk food, right? So Coke is also considered junk food, at least to me. So imagine a Coke bottle, right? If you keep shaking it, okay, you shake a new bottle before you uncap it, what do you think will happen? When you open it, it's going to go push. You're going to get Coke all over you, right? So in the same way, okay, you can picture our bodies like that Coke bottle. If there's so much stress and anxiety, and if we keep all that pressure to ourselves, sometimes it can also explode. Okay, so before it explodes, okay, think about trusted people that you can talk to. And Teacher May have also kindly shared the link to Buddy Bear. Thank you so much. Otherwise, the number was supposed to be on here, so I apologize for that. Okay, but very important to talk to someone. Okay, and a final reminder, before we start taking questions, is that something, when anxiety happens, and if we keep telling ourselves that there's nothing to worry about, okay, then like I said before, it can actually make us feel a lot worse. So with anxiety actually with anxiety, it just wants us to recruit support. Okay. And that recruiting isn't necessarily done deliberately or intentionally. Okay. So one of the things that we feel when we feel anxious or stressed is that it's our body telling us that, hey, we need that support. We need our care system. Okay. So that we can feel better. So whenever you also want to care for your amygdala, you want to make sure that your anxiety or your stress level is under control, make sure you're also recruiting support. Okay, so that you're able to not just journey alone, but you're also able to journey with someone, hopefully someone professional, that can also help you to feel better about yourselves. Okay, so that's it for today. We have covered this very simple tool, okay, to manage your stress and anxiety. Okay, remember it's called the art of managing stress and anxiety. Okay, so we've got A, awareness. Remember, it's to name, to tame the feeling. So identify those signs that make us feel stressed and anxious. So being aware of those signs, being aware of what we are feeling, our emotions, can then help us to regulate, okay, to find strategies to be able to regulate, to rest, okay, our minds and our body. And then, of course, if you find that sometimes doing all these strategies sometimes does not work for you and you're still feeling very unpleasant, very uncomfortable, very stressed and anxious, then please do reach out to talk to someone, okay? Because we are not an island and we actually do need our support group, our support system to help us journey through tough times, okay? Having said that, I want to now open the floor to questions. Okay, so Aristotle once said that the important thing is to not stop questioning because curiosity has its own reason for existing. So any questions, please feel free to ask. There are no silly questions, no stupid questions, okay? We're here to not judge. So any questions at all, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you, Sybella, and thank you, kids, for being here. I'm just gonna leave this on for a little bit. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please go ahead and I'll put your question onto the screen. I see a lot of conversation about weight and being fat and all that. I think it's okay. What is your weight and so on. I think it's about kind of staying healthy, exercising, as Sybella is saying, I just want to say that if you are interested in some of the upcoming lessons that we have, one thing you can do is that you can go to the YouTube channel that we have here and just click subscribe. You will get some notification for upcoming lessons. I will also share with you the link to the website that you can find all of the different series that's upcoming here. I just want to put it up one more time. Anyone here has any questions? One last call before we call it, we end today's session. I think Hala wants to know what is your favorite color. So maybe you can let her know.
Sure. Thanks, Hala, for the question. That's a tough one. My favorite color, actually, I really like the color white and gray. So I think part of my house also, you can see I've got gray curtains. I've got like my white furniture. So between white and gray, it's very difficult to decide. I would actually go for white. I like white color. Yeah, I like the color white. But thank you for that question.
Okay. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being here and have a good weekend ahead. And if you ever feel a lot of emotions, a lot of stress, do practice the A.R.T, like what Sybella has taught you today. Take a time and do the breathing. It's really, really effective. Sometimes I feel myself very anxious because I have so much work to do, and I will take the breathing technique. It's very, very effective. So I hope that is useful for all of you. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good day ahead. Bye.